Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Folks, this football season will be our 20th here at the Sports Source, so we'll be building a brand new set. And I'm turning, of course, to A.G. Hines Company for all the materials, for all the how-tos. They've been doing it for 100 years. The Hines family, one generation after another. This company is now in the fourth generation, which that you can look that up. That does not happen in the United States of America. That is an incredibly rare feat. To do that means you have to run one heck of a business, and they do. Down on Hines Street in downtown Knoxville, get down and see them. If you have a home improvement project, if you're building a new home, this is where you start. A.G. Hines Company. They'll take care of you, I promise. Gordon and his family, just fantastic human beings. All right, let's take a look. Last year's top pass catchers for Tennessee. You see the two guys who are gone now. Their numbers are in blue. But that's your top 7 receivers from a year ago. And I've included Princeton Fant and Jacob Warren there, of course, in terms of tight ends. My question for these guys, I don't know about you. I tend to think after looking at Josh Heupel's numbers everywhere he's been, he could take the 5 of us and milk numbers out of that. He could get yardage out of us, which takes some doing, but I think he could do it. That's the level of my faith in Josh Heupel.
That's quite a bit of faith.
That's a lot of faith in Josh Heupel. But at the same time, you're talking about 80 catches, 1,220 yards, and 13 touchdowns gone from that list. So I ask you, in terms of whether we're overestimating or underestimating the departure of those two guys, do you feel that this year's receiving core, the top 7, if we break it down the same way, will have better numbers than that? Worse numbers? Or about the same numbers this year?
I'm going to go with about the same because of what you just said. I think it's Josh Heupel's offense. I think everywhere he's been able to bring these guys up. So I'm going to go with, I think it'll be pretty similar. I think, Velus Jones turned out to be better than what I thought he would be when he got here from USC. And obviously I think Peyton was a bit better than I thought when he got here as well. But I think you've got guys there that can step up and make the same kind of plays, the same kind of numbers. So I'm going to go with very similar to last year.
You can look at Velus Jones' first year here and then the second year here under Heupel, and it kind of suggests what Heupel means.
Now, you lost your receivers coach. So, I mean, how much did he have to do with it? You replaced him, but I'm going to go with similar.
Gentlemen?
I'm going to say better, and that is a big ask, but I'll say better because part of this is going to project Brew McCoy to choose Tennessee, talented transfer from USC. I think there's a good chance of that. I like the freshmen in terms of their talent, so maybe 1 or 2 of those guys can help you hit some big plays like Squirrel White with his speed. Does that happen? At least Caleb Webb I like a lot. But then Jalen Hyatt, he's kind of the X factor. If the talk this week and the talk this spring that he's put in the work and he is getting bigger, and it's going to translate to the field, that can help with some of the big play loss from Javonte Payton. So he's a really important player. They all are, besides Tillman, in terms of they have to show they're better. But Hyatt's, I think, where that conversation starts.
And for Hyatt, with me, it's all about the hands. They can tell me he's put on 20 pounds and looks like a Greek god. That's terrific. How are his hands? Because that was his issue last year. He had a few drops. Vince, your thoughts on this receiving core this year? Going to be better? Going to be worse? Going to be about the same?
Yeah, I'm going to go with better. I'm going with Josh. And I think there's several other reasons for it. Josh laid out some good ones in the improvement of the receivers, including Hyatt. But I think Ramel Keaton has looked better. Right now, he would be a starter for Tennessee at wide receiver. And then, Chaz Nimrod, all those freshman wide receivers are really good and been talked up by the coaches. And we've got a chance to see it also. The run after catch, I think, will be better. Remember, they moved Velus to the slot during the year. And then also, Hendon Hooker's the quarterback from the jump.
From the jump, yeah.
And he should be improved, maneuvering the defense, that eye discipline. And I think you also see the running backs involved in the pass game as well. So I do think that they'll replace those numbers.
See, that's a lot of hope, isn't it? I mean, that's a lot of I put my faith in Hooker right now. And if I'm an opposing defensive coordinator, who am I going to try and take away? Tillman, right? So that's what you're looking at. We think these guys can step up. Maybe they can. Believe it when you see it. I'm going to say about the same.
And I'm going to add, too, your tight ends are pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not sitting there looking at these guys going, man, I can't even think of the kid from Florida a couple of years ago that was the greatest tight end in history. you're not looking at that kind of talent, but these tight ends are pretty good, and they're experienced and they know the offense. So that's another reason I don't think you'll see a step backwards. You know, yeah, there is a lot of hope that goes into this, but you've got a pretty good group of guys that have played and have had success.
There's a development track record, too.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
also tight end's another one where you can look at it and go, that's Heupel's system. Because we didn't exactly talk about tight ends here for years before that. It was rare that someone popped. You had guys go to the NFL and have long careers there.
Yes.
Who you didn't really hear their name here at Tennessee very often.
You almost forget that they were at Tennessee when
So-
you see them in
Yeah.
a ball game.
Yeah, so the problem, and it takes somebody to run the system. I'm always talking about that system because you look wherever he's been, he has hit with it. At Missouri, when he inherited a bunch of 2- and 3-star guys, best offense in the league. So I plug up the system. At the same time, I don't want to take away from the players because you do have to have human beings out there doing it. So not trying to take away from them at all, but Heupel's system is one that at this point, it's pretty ironclad. I'm going to believe in it until I have some reason not to. And I
Well,
don't have
especially
that
if the
yet.
5 of us could do well in
Oh,
it.
exactly, which we could. All right.
I
When
want an NIL deal.
Yeah, thank you.
when it comes to, I'll give you one of the Sports Source NIL deals. Doesn't do much. When it comes to UT's pass rush, 2 names always pop to the top of the discussion: Byron Young, Tyler Barron. Are we expecting too much of them? Let's talk about the pass rush numbers. We'll show you last year's. Will those be better or worse or the same this year? Come on back on the Sports Source.